Hey everyone, you're welcome back to the channel. Before we dive in, kindly like this video, subscribe to the channel and turn on the notification bell so you don't miss any of these updates. Alright, let's get straight into the gist. There's a major development today out of Abuja. The Nigeria Police Force, the NPF, tried to stop the upcoming protest by Omoyele Sowore, which is under the banner, Free Nnamdi Kanu Now, and the court said, no, you can't just block it without proper hearing. Here's how it all plays out. Sowore has announced that on Monday, October 20, 2025, there will be a protest near the presidential villa, also Rock Villa, in Abuja calling for the release of Nnamdi Kanu, leader of the banned indigenous people of Biafra, IPOB. In response, the Inspector General of Police K.O. Egbetikon ordered that a motion be filed by the police seeking an expert order, that means the court hears the police's side without the other side present, to stop the protest. But the court, the Federal High Court in Abuja, presided over by Justice Umar, rejected the request for now. The judge said the police must serve Sowore properly, give notice, before pursuing that route, and adjourn the matter to Tuesday for a full hearing. So right now, no court order barring the protest exists. The protest is legally allowed, unless the Tuesday hearing changes that. Let's break down why this matter is important, and also what to watch for. Why this matters. Rights of assembly and protest. In any democracy, people must have the right to protest peacefully. When the police try to use the courts to block a protest before it happens, it raises questions about how far state power can go in restricting protest. Location and timing. The protest is planned near Oso Rock, the seat of power in Nigeria. That amplifies the risk perceived by security agencies. Rallies close to the seat of government are often viewed as more sensitive. The police's motion signals they were concerned about public order. Nnamdi Kanu's detention. This protest is not just any demonstration, it ties into the long-running case of Nnamdi Kanu, who has been in detention and whose group, IPOB, sought secession for the Southeast. The demands for his release touch upon very heated political, ethnic, and national security issues. Legal precedent. If the court allows protests like this without preemptive injunctions, it reinforces the idea that state agencies must act within constitutional limits. If police succeed in blocking, it may set a different precedent. What to watch out for? The Tuesday hearing outcome. While the protest can currently go ahead, the Tuesday court session may issue a restraining order or some other ruling that changes the status. The story isn't over at the Monday march. How the protest is conducted. Sowore has pledged that the protest will be peaceful and lawful. If violence or major disruption occurs, the security agencies may clamp down, and public perception could change accordingly. Government and security response. The manner in which the government and the police respond will matter. Heavy-handed responses could lead to backlash, but lax responses could raise other concerns about order. Broader political implications. This may feed into ethnic, regional, and national sentiments. The Southeast, the question of Biafra, IPOB, and how the state deals with dissent are large themes here. Media and public narrative. How this is covered, by local media, international media, by social media activists, will shape whether the focus remains on the protest demands or shifts to security, disruption, or other angles. Some extra food for thought. Let's chat a bit about the larger context. The detention of Nnamdi Kanu has been controversial. Supporters of IPOB see him as a freedom fighter. Critics and the government see his actions as a threat to Nigeria's unity and national security. This protest by Sowore is precisely aiming to bring more public attention to that tension. On the other side, we must ask, to what extent should the security agencies preemptively block demonstrations because of potential threat? Does that open doors for abuse? But also, when protests are held close to government centers, do security agencies have a duty to ensure order and safety? All of this plays into a bigger question: how can Nigeria balance security with civil liberties? If the police feel they cannot control the environment, they may seek greater powers. If protesters feel they cannot speak up, that may fuel more radicalism. It's a delicate balance. What I think, and you can share in the comments. I personally think the court's decision to not grant the expert motion was a good step for democratic practice. It shows that even when state power is used to seek immediate suppression, the judiciary can resist simple bypass of justice. It sends the message, you must follow process. However, The fact that the police saw this motion shows how much tension there is around this protest and its subject matter. The authorities clearly considered it a serious risk. If I were offering a few tips to follow. If you're participating or simply watching, keep an eye on where the protest happens, how many people turn up, how security manages the crowd. For everyone brave enough to attend, make sure you stay peaceful, cooperate with any directives, do not give reasons for negative headlines. For everyone watching at home, stay informed from credible sources, avoid being misled by inflammatory social media posts, recognize the difference between protest for rights and protest that slips into violence. So that's the story, friends. The police tried to stop the Free Nnamdi Kanu Now protest. The court said not so fast, you must hear the other side first, and now the protest is allowed to go ahead, for now, on Monday near Oso Rock. Keep your eyes on the Tuesday hearing that may shift things. If you found this breakdown useful, hit like, subscribe, and ring that bell so you're notified next time I drop a deep dive like this. Also drop a comment below, do you think protests like this help democracy or undermine it? Do you think the police were right to try and stop it? I read your thoughts. So here's something many people might not realize. This protest, tagged Free Nnamdi Kanu Now, is not just about Nnamdi Kanu's personal case. It's also becoming a symbol of public frustration over how court rulings are handled in Nigeria. You see, several court orders have already said that Nnamdi Kanu should be released on certain conditions, or that the government should respect his legal rights, but for one reason or another, those orders haven't been fully obeyed. So people are beginning to ask, what's the point of going to court if government agencies ignore judgments? And that question is exactly the kind of thing Sowore is trying to highlight. Now, the police are saying they are not against protest as a right, but they want to make sure it doesn't turn violent or lead to something that can endanger lives or property. They even claim they have intelligence reports suggesting that certain groups might hijack the event. But the court, led by Justice Umar, said clearly that you can't stop a citizen's right to protest simply based on assumptions or fear of what might happen. There must be proof, and there must be due process. That's a very strong statement. It means the judiciary is standing firm on constitutional rights. Because the Nigerian constitution allows every citizen to assemble peacefully and express themselves, as long as they do it without violence or threats. But now let's also look at Omoyele Sowore himself. You know, he's no stranger to protest. He's been leading demonstrations for years, #revolution_now, #endbadgovernance, and several others. He's faced arrests, court cases, and even travel restrictions. So when you see him coming out again for this Free Nnamdi Kanu protest, you can tell he's trying to make a bigger point, not just about Kanu, but about freedom of speech and civil rights in Nigeria. At the same time, some Nigerians are divided about it. Some people support the protest fully. They say it's time for the government to release Nnamdi Kanu and start national healing, especially in the southeast. But others say Sowore should be careful not to inflame tension or create an impression of challenging the government head-on in a way that could cause unrest. And that's the fine line he's walking right now. Now, from what we're hearing, the Free Nnamdi Kanu Now protest is expected to happen close to Eagle Square and the Three Arms Zone in Abuja, areas that are very close to the Presidential Villa, the National Assembly, and the Supreme Court. That's exactly why security agencies are nervous. Those areas are considered high-security zones. Any crowd movement there is usually closely monitored. But Sowore's team has said they want it to be peaceful. They said protesters will carry placards, chant peacefully, and deliver a statement, no violence, no burning, no fighting. And that's key, because the world is watching how this will play out. Let's also look at what's going on with Nnamdi Kanu's legal team. His lawyers have continued pushing for his unconditional release. They insist that he has been detained unlawfully since the Court of Appeal judgment in 2022 that discharged him of some terrorism-related charges. The government, on the other hand, maintains that other counts are still pending, and they are still pursuing those cases in court. So it's a legal back and forth that hasn't ended yet. Now this is where it connects to public perception. People see Kanu's case as a test of how justice works in Nigeria. Whether justice applies equally to everyone, or differently depending on who you are or what you stand for. And Sowore knows that this is a hot national topic. That's why this protest is not just a political one, it's a symbolic one. It's sending a message that people are tired of selective justice and delayed fairness. But let's be honest, this is also politically sensitive. Because when you bring together the issues of ethnic identity, security, and government criticism, it becomes a mix that can easily be misunderstood or misused. That's why some analysts are warning that both sides, the protest organizers and the government, must act responsibly. Now, I also want to point something out. Many civil rights groups and human rights lawyers are praising the court for rejecting the police's move to stop the protest. They say it shows that the judiciary is still the last hope for ordinary citizens, even in politically sensitive matters. Groups like the Socio-Economic Rights and Accountability Project, SERAP, and the Human Rights Writers Association, HURIWA, have said the judgment should remind the police that their role is to protect protesters, not to suppress them. So what happens next? Here's the timeline to note. The protest is planned for Monday, and the next court hearing on the police application will come up on Tuesday. That means, technically, the protest can go ahead, but everyone will be watching closely to see how the police handle it. If the protest stays peaceful, it could send a very powerful message about citizens' rights and responsible activism. But if it goes wrong, if there's any clash or chaos, it could give authorities reason to tighten future protest permissions. So, Nigerians, this is a very important moment to show that we can speak truth to power peacefully, without violence, and still make our voices heard. And to you watching right now, what do you think? Should protests like this continue, or do you think it's too risky? Drop your comments below. I really want to hear your thoughts. Don't forget, like this video, subscribe, and turn on the notification bell so you can follow up when I bring updates after the Monday protest and Tuesday hearing. Because by then, we'll know whether the government will tolerate the protest or take another legal route. Nigeria is watching, the world is watching, and the next few days will tell a lot about how much freedom we truly have in this democracy.